So there's a few things that will make your squat a lot easier and stronger. The first thing that you'll notice is I'm not wearing any shoes. So when you're squatting, I highly recommend don't wear any sort of runners or joggers. You want to wear flat shoes if possible. If you don't have those yet, you can wear no shoes, just go with your socks, or alternatively, you can wear squat shoes as well. Now, when we look at the squat, the first thing we want to address is how we're unracking the bar. This is where you're going to get the most stability, and you really want to make sure that the unrack is strong and stable before you actually walk back and go into your squat. So when we unrack the bar, what you want to do is firstly think about your hand placement. For people who are bigger in size, like their frame might be a bit bigger, you might want to adopt a wider grip. What I like to do is use these rings on this bar as a gauge for where to place my fingers. For myself, I weigh around 85 kilos, height is 170. So for reference, what I do is I generally place my pinkies on these rings. Now, this would depend, the placement of this would depend on your frame and also the mobility of your shoulders and your wrists. But generally, you want to make sure that it's just comfortable. There's no right or wrong in terms of where you want to place your hands, as long as it's comfortable and the bar is able to get on your back. From here, what I'm going to do is get under the bar, and depending whether you do high bar or low bar, with both variations, you want your feet relatively close together to begin with. The reason for this is because it gets your feet directly underneath you, and it's going to help you get into a much stronger unrack. Now from here, what I'm doing is I'm not pumping my chest out, I'm keeping my ribs down. And the reason why I want to keep my ribs down is to keep my ribs stacked over my pelvis, and that's going to help with a much more optimal position when I squat. From here, I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to think about bracing really hard. And when I brace, what I'm going to do is think about filling that space 360 degrees around my core and my back, and that's going to give me a really strong brace. So again, placing my hands on the bar, getting this onto the bar, feet close together. From here, I'm going to breathe in, hold my breath and brace, push 360 degrees around me, and stand straight up by pushing into the floor. From here, I'm going to let the bar stabilize on my back before stepping back. And with my steps back, I'm going to take one step straight back first, one step slightly to the side, and then get into my squat dance from there. The less steps you do when you squat or when you unrack, the easier things will be, the more minimal you have to move, which means you'll save effort before you go into your squat. From here, what I'm going to do is do the same breathing and bracing technique that I did for the unrack. So I'm going to breathe in, brace 360 degrees around me, and drop straight down into my squat. Now, for people with longer femurs, they might have to hinge a bit further back, but what you want to try to focus on at a bare minimum is thinking about pushing through the middle of your foot. So the middle of my foot is around where the arches of my feet are. So you want to feel yourself pushing into the arch of your feet as you go down and come back up. From here, step back into the rack, let it go up against the rack, go straight down, and that's your squat.